Hi guys, welcome to Brain Porn. In this episode I'd like to talk about purpose. And this one is sort of a tough one for me because I'm not even sure if I've really found my true purpose or my true calling, or however you want to view it. I feel like other people throughout history have always... There's been this one thing that sort of stands out for them. You know, Napoleon and the list goes on. You 50 Cent or whatever, right? But for me, I feel like there's not that one thing. I feel like it's probably a multitude of things. So over the past 6 or 8 months, I've been sort of trying to really dive into what my purpose is and what it should be and how it should look. And I'm finding that I'm having to go back in my memory and kind of search out different events and how they affected me. Has been a really trying process. Lots of people I've come across with like, Dev, what do you mean you don't have your purpose? Like you're a carpenter and you're a father of girls and all this and that. And it's amazing. All of that stuff is amazing. Like I love being able to build something where I can show people that it's a physical thing, you know? And for my children, like I like that I get to kind of share stories with them and hopefully make it a ton easier for them to find what their gift is or what their guiding light or whatever you want to call it is. I know that we all have different stories, and I know that we all lived completely different lives, even though some of them are similar. They're all very, very much different. Different families, different households, different truths, different stories, different events that all lead us to be who we are, right? And I don't think that people should necessarily even view purpose as their purpose in work. And I feel like that for me for a long time was, oh, well, this is my purpose. My purpose is my work or whatever. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more. And maybe that's just a part of my purpose in itself, is just the mystery of it all and how I can view being loved and loving as part of my purpose. And just there's just so much to it. And I feel like this episode will really benefit a lot of people because I really honestly doubt that I'm alone on this, and a few people that I've talked to about these sorts of things have similar experiences. So I'm a sober dad who's been incarcerated, who is changing his life more positively, and hopefully it's affecting more than one human being. I think for a lot of it, it was me searching or just looking at my destination, you know, where I wanted to end, my end game, right? Which is fine to try and have this big picture, but I think even more than that, it's about the journey, right? It's about having all these experiences that makes you unique and makes you different. And I try and push that along to my girls that, you know, nobody's the same. Like, so especially if you're gonna run into like bullies or whatever, and they're gonna want to make you feel poorly because you're different or because there's something that is unique about you that maybe they don't have in themselves or they don't see in themselves, right? So I feel like it's necessary to look at that, especially with my children, because in this day and age, like, it's so apparent that we're going to run into these problems. So throughout my life, there's many different jobs that I've wanted to do, and more than one of them are kind of fucked up. Different. They're different. Let's call it that. So for a while, I wanted to be a career criminal. I've wanted to be a veterinarian. And to be quite honest, like, I don't even really like animals. At the time, I was young, and I just thought that it was a cool thing to say, or I like the word, or some fucking thing, right? I don't even want a dog, to be quite honest. So, or whatever. So let alone having to do all the gross stuff that veterinarians have to do. I wanted to be an astronaut. I'm super claustrophobic, so that's kind of out for me too. It's something about being trapped in a canister in the abyss. So there's literally no end to it, but I'm so confined. It freaks me out. I've wanted to be a socialite, and I'm not like that pretty. I'm not pretty enough to do that, so that's kind of out for me too. I could try, I could show up places, but who knows, I'll probably get kicked out. I've wanted to be a social worker, which is such a noble career to me, because you're literally helping somebody else who is quite possibly in a awful place in their life, right? And you're trying to be their guiding light to help them through it, which is just amazing. And I don't think that we pay these people enough. Them and teachers are huge to me. Why haven't I become a social worker? It freaks me out a little bit, because I have to hear stories that are going to be a lot of the time absolutely awful and horrendous and heart-wrenching. And that's not something that I'm strong enough, I don't think, to deal with daily. I feel like a lot of social workers probably break or probably have to leave that career path just simply because of that. In my old drinking days or whatever, I used to want to do, you get kind of lazy. I was kind of lazy, and I still am. Maybe I'm making a lot of excuses of why I'm not these things. Part of it is because I am kind of lazy. So, therefore, being a ninja probably isn't going to be the right path for me. But in my old drinking days, I wanted to be a porn star, right? I thought that would have just been the fucking cat's ass. And then, you realize that male porn stars, they don't make a ton of money. I think a lot of the time you're forced to do things that are probably don't fit into your sexual repertoire. But there is this one thing that I've always kind of been good at and I've always quite enjoyed, is just thinking. I love thinking. That's probably one of the only things that I gained from jail or incarceration, was having a little bit of clarity and a little bit of time to think and read and just kind of internalize, right? So it's just kind of funny that I wanted to be a socialite when I like internalizing and thinking so much. I'm not saying that socialites don't think, but we've all seen Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie, right? So a couple of things that are on my current list of things to do is I'd love to make a magazine, and also or possibly a travel blog, things like that. And I found that most of my goals aren't even necessarily things that need schooling, right? All this stuff on my list, I've made a big list of things that I need to, or things that I want to do, or career paths that I've wanted to take, and I'm just kind of going over it over the past couple days, and there's so much of this that I don't need schooling for, right? I can make wine at home, and I could publish a magazine without any real schooling. I could, you just dedicate some money to it, right? I probably won't be the best magazine publisher because my English is terrible at best. But now in 2019, you can just hire somebody. So it's going to be an interesting little journey for me. I know that much. I think at the end of it, my biggest goal is just to have my children be able to look at me with a little bit of pride and hopefully gratitude that I have given them a life and a perspective that they otherwise wouldn't have had. It's funny because there's times in my life where I've wanted to be a historian, for instance, but I'm not that interested in history. I like the big points in history, Renaissance and slavery and stuff like that. But outside of that, I'm not super duper interested. I also have found interest in chemistry and stuff, but I don't know if it goes beyond just owning a chemistry set at home. So these are things that I'm going to do over, the next year, and hopefully I can share some cool stories in the future. Maybe I'll blow up something. Who knows? I just hope that none of these things take me to a place where I have to go back to jail or where I lose sight of my morals, which I think is a big thing for people who are searching for purpose or they're finding value in the wrong places, right? If you're only finding purpose and only finding value in and monetary gain, then you're probably going to come into some places where it's going to mess you up, and you're going to do things that you wouldn't normally do and that you wouldn't normally want to do. There's got to be a line, right? So where is that line? And some people don't see that line, and then they end up in positions of power and whatnot, or places that we view as to be powerful. But they're not. They're just at a different place in their life than me or you. So how do we break out of this constant place of unknowing and this place of just wanting more? And how do we find value in the things that we have and the stories that we are able to tell, and just our natural gifts that we have within? I don't know. Like, this is why, like, I really want feedback from people out there. I really want to hear what other people think and what other people have to say about finding their purpose and about their view on life and how things should be. And I want to hear people's stories. Like, I really do. I mean, man, I wanted to be a fucking lumberjack. I wanted to be a delivery driver. I wanted to be a trainer of, like, in carpentry. I wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be a fucking philosopher. I wanted to be so many different things. I wanted to be a doctor. You know, like, the list goes on and on and on. But for me, I find that I'm having to make a list of things that I've done, finding my core skill set and my values, and kind of cross-referencing them back and forth with each other to figure out what are some things that I'd like to do. Like, what are some things that I wanted, that I feel like I could give this world? And I'm super passionate about it because I really honestly feel like there's more, right? There's always more. And I know that there's got to be people out there who feel the same. Like let's connect, people. Let's connect. You can get at me at brainpornpodcast@gmail.com. So I can think of a time, like, more recently when I wanted to be a travel blogger, okay? Because I fucking love traveling. Like, it's so neat to me because you get to experience different cultures and you get to meet people who you would not otherwise have had the opportunity to meet. Writing isn't really one of my strong suits. So is that something that I really want to go after? Yes and no. But I feel like for me, it's going to be more of delivering stories about some of my travels to you using spoken word as opposed to written word. And that's just the truth. Like the time that me and my man Homage went to South Africa, and when I landed, it was just amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I was super culture shocked because, you know, the street signs were written in a different language, and black people were no longer the minority; they were the majority. And just the smells and the ocean water, and it was just super neat. And when I touched down in Cape Town, I had, like, this goal. I really wanted this shirt, right? And I figured if I was going to be able to find this shirt anywhere, it was going to be in Africa, right? So we were fucking around, and we went to Green Market Square. I think that's what it's called. And just had a look around and asked around. And then we asked this dude, and he says, "Oh, I can find you that shirt. I can find you that shirt, right?" So we're like, okay, cool. So he's like, here, give me a bit. I'll be back. So he takes off, you know, and I think nothing of it, right? He's going to go try and track down this shirt for us. And he's probably going to charge me an outrageous amount and whatever. I'm sure they did, but whatever. That doesn't matter. I really wanted this shirt. So we're waiting and we're kind of meandering around and we're looking at stuff and we're playing cool board games that aren't a thing here in Canada. And I've just about given up hope because it's been, I don't know, 45 minutes, close to an hour, that this dude's not coming back. It's like, we were about to say fuck it. And then, like, boom, like, out of nowhere, he was there, right? And he says, oh, I know where to get you this shirt. I know where to get you the shirt. So we're like, okay, cool. Like, let's go. So we take off. And, you know, like, thinking back, probably not the best decision I've ever made. Probably not the smartest, but we went with this dude, and he's kind of leading us fucking all over. And he led us through, like, some alleys and down through this parkade, and then we ended up, like, underneath this bridge. Okay, and it was this small little marketplace that these dudes had set up. And I don't think they normally got along with this guy, but he was bringing them business, so kind of let it slide. And they had this shirt, right? And I had my money, like, I had one of those traveler's waistband things. It's pretty lame, but handy, right? So I'm about to, like, get some cash, and he tells me, he, like, stopped me, like, yo, like, no, don't go for, they'll rob you, right? They'll fucking rob you right now. So I only had a little bit of cash in my pockets, right? And so I asked my buddy Homage, I said, you got any cash? Like, can you spot me some cash too? So we all had enough for the shirt. Anyways, I copped the shirt. The guys were like, all right, now beat it, right? So we're like, okay, cool. So we split. Anyways, I tipped the guy who brought us down there for the shirt, like, pretty large. Like, he hooked me up. So thank you. Thanks for not getting me murdered out there. I appreciate it. Or robbed or whatever. So anyways, he says, like, what are you guys doing now? So we were saying that we are going to go to this restaurant called Mama Africa's. And he says, oh, is that right? Like, that place is a tourist trap, basically. Like, what are you guys doing? So we didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, we're just going, everybody else on the tour was going there. So he's like, I'll take you to the real Mama Africa's. So this was pretty cool, you know? It was like there's solid people everywhere, right? So I say, okay, my buddy's down, right? I pay back everybody, by the way. I went to my waistband later when we're kind of more private. And he takes us to, like, this back alley. So we go down this back alley, and there's a couple, like, apartment buildings. So we go into this apartment building, and we go up this flight of stairs, right? And in this hallway of this apartment building, it was fucking nutty crazy to me. There's boxes upon boxes upon boxes of just shit that you saw in Green Market Square, and they were putting price tags on them, and there's, like, a ton of women in this hallway kind of just working, putting price tags and getting ready to distribute these goods, right? And it was funny because all of these boxes said made in China, right? So I was like, man, motherfucker, you're trying to buy, like, these authentic African masks and stuff like that and all these goodies, and it's all just made in China, just like everything else, right? So it was just kind of funny to me. Anyways, we go into this apartment, and there's a couple of, like, plastic fold-up tables and, like, some folding chairs in there, right? So we go sit down. I'm always, like, pretty keen to, like, sit with my back to the wall. So I sit with my back to the wall, close to a window, kind of where you could, like, look out on the main street there. And he kind of introduces us to the woman, and she says, okay. And then he's like, all right, guys, like, I'm out, right? So he split. He skedaddled. So it's just me and my man, and we're just hanging out. And then this lady comes up to us and says, rice or potatoes? So we both kind of vouch for the rice. And then I guess it came with chicken. So she brings us out these plates anyways, like, short time later, I don't know, 5 minutes or something like that. And it was good as hell. Like, the food was really, really fucking good. Like, no doubt. It was awesome. So we ate or whatever. And just as we're about to, like, finish up eating, like, these massive dudes, like, these guys were fucking huge. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking, like, 6'6", like 300 whatever pounds, like, these big dudes, right? And one was wearing, like, this white kind of, like, silk suit, like, super pimp type, right? And then the other guy was wearing, like, a cut off shirt and, like, military fatigue pants. And they come in and they sit down at a table, like, kind of close to us. And, like, all these kind of guys start, like, following through and, like, and giving props or whatever. It was fucking neato, man. But we figured it was probably time for us to go. So we paid our money and we tipped and then we just got the fuck out of Dodge, right? Because I don't need to be part of the underground street scene in South Africa. I'm sure it's probably pretty deep. But yeah, so we're out. Anyways, like, I have my t-shirt. We had some good food. And, like, now I have this cool story to tell, right? At least I think that it's cool. I don't know about other people. Just let me know what you think. But all of this sort of brings me back to my main point of like, finding your purpose. Like all these little instances and all these little things in my life that have happened to me are creating this person right now where I get to share these kind of stories with you. And, you know, in the meantime, like, as I'm sharing stories and I'm kind of like living my life and I'm doing my travels and I'm raising my kids, and who knows, maybe I'll start collecting antiques, right? I think the biggest thing though that we need to recognize is that we can't be afraid to go after these things, right? We just can't be. We only have one life. We really are limited to this one chance on this earth. Possibly. That's up for debate too, but like as we know right now, we're really limited to that. So I think we should all strip off our fears and our anxieties and just go for it, right? Because I don't know, what do you got to lose? Unless your goal is something fucked up, like being a career criminal, you know what I mean? And in which case, you have the chance to lose your life and your freedom and all these things that I think we probably take for granted. There was a time when I wanted to be a farmer too, you know what I mean? But farmers like gotta work mad hard. And I'm just not like really about that. You know what I mean? Like I like doing what I'm doing right now. Like I really do thoroughly enjoy being a carpenter, and I really do thoroughly enjoy making a podcast. And I feel like I would give up a ton of time to be able to do these things right now if I was to become a farmer. Not to mention the buy-in on a farm is like crazy expensive. It's fucking insane. So if you do have the financial means to do it, then I guess by all means. If not, there's ways to get it. Anyways, there's ways to get it. All I'm saying is I am not a farmer because I'm too lazy to be a farmer. Like I wanted to be an artist, right? And then I met artists. And now I don't want to be an artist anymore, right? The dedication and the skill and the talent and the vision is something that's just like currently out of my reach. So for now, I'll be a carpenter. I'll be a father. I'll be a creator behind this beautiful thing called brain porn. I hope that my stories and this podcast has brought a little bit of inspiration to somebody somewhere. And most of all, I really do hope to hear back from some people out there. And I look forward to reading some stories and gaining insight and all that, because I really do find value in the personal human experience. So yeah, if you want to get at me at brainpornpodcast@gmail.com, and you can reach me on Instagram at brainporn, that's BRAINP9RN. Again, they won't let me say porn. And you can find us on WordPress at Brain Porn Podcast, and again on YouTube at Brain Porn Podcast. That's BRAINP9RN Podcast. Yeah, so many little platforms. Anyways, I hope to hear from you guys, and get at me.